And here we are again. Good morning. Good morning, Nordic. Good morning, Kevin. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I got to keep it down a little bit. There's guests in the other room. Daughter had a sleepover, so I'll try to remember to keep it down. At least for the next couple hours or so. But anyhow, we got to get some painting done. I don't care who's sleeping over here. This is only 2 days a week. Seems like I'm getting any painting done. So where did we leave off? Well, we've got the Armenian spear complete. And we got a Saloy stand complete. Oh, they look dark as shit there. Oh well. The lighting is just... Ian, welcome. Good morning to you. Or good afternoon, probably. Yeah, this is the Armenian spearman from Old Glory. Okay, so who's next? Well, decided we're going to do the CUMANS next. So, these 2 light horse figures from Gladiator games. And they're actually pretty well detailed. They're both figures are different. You can't see them that well because they are based in black. It's getting kind of lost in there, but they actually have some pretty good detail on them. And the only gripe with them is they have fairly large horses, and it's not really their gripe, but they're going to have bigger horses than the Normans. Here's one of the Norman figures. It's not that much of a difference. Well, here's the other thing is the Turks have really small horses. That's a museum Turk on there. So I think they'll all look good together once they're together as an army. I've got on the Normans I can do. I'm going to get a kick out of painting these Normans that are old school. So anyhow, on to the CUMANS. 2 figures and we're done. I'm already looking to finish them. I haven't even started them. Let's see if we've got any mold here that's grown overnight, over the week. I hope not. Nope. Okay. Need to amend my statement from the other night. Number 2 females Irish actress Charlie Murphy. I don't even remember who you had as number 2. Charlie Murphy. Can't say I know who that is. Oh man, this is drying out. Is this clean? No. Damn it. I guess I'll be right back. We need to start on the right foot. I'm not even going to pause it. Alright, I'm going to show you a little thing. We just peeled this thing off. And make sure this is plenty wet. And as a matter of fact, you could see that the water is sloshing around the corner. could just as easy use use a new sheet, but there's no need to be wasteful. I'm not frugal. I just don't want to be wasteful. You know, when something, there's no reason to ruin something that you've already got some stuff. I don't know if the black's any good. We're going to drop some more on here. Drop it like it's black. Black and white are the ones that get used the most consistently. There was somebody using museum miniatures the other night. Yeah. That was... I don't know. I got to see what that was either Randy or Joe. Definitely. Lovely raven hair, Irish lass. Yeah. These are the old school museums, though, not the Z range or whatever. I'm probably not going to be buying any Z range museums anytime soon. And that's not because I don't like them. It's because I have plenty of miniatures now. And I got these museums because somebody was, you know, kind of like Mitch has to buy whatever figure somebody's selling that they don't want because he doesn't paint. I kind of am not tempted by buying new lead unless something is at a flea market that somebody just flat out doesn't want, like they're $1 a pack or something like that. I'm just not going to pass it. I'm not going to pass that up. I'm willing to take the risk that I might not paint them, but at $1 a pack, yeah. I just don't need more stuff. I don't need the core of any new armies. Now, when I got these figures from Marty, they came along with a lot of Fall of Rome style barbarians. And when I go and end up doing one of those armies, I am going to buy some Forged in Battle, but only like 2 packs to mix in with all the other ones so we could have a variety of varieties. But short of that, I'm not going to go out and buy... I'm not very tempted to go out and buy a new army that I don't have any figures for to not complement. I just have enough stuff to work on that will happily work on to be wasteful. I really do need to cut into my lead pile because it's gonna hurt my back. Every time I move it, it's a problem. Just gonna mix up some dirt, white glue, make mud, put on World War II. Think it's complete 1/35th scale. Like the detail of Z, just wondered how the size is. My gripe with Z is that the pictures that you see online are not accurate. And I think that's a good thing because online they look dorky. They look almost like well-detailed Mike's models. They look stumpy, their heads look big, but it's not accurate. They're fine-looking figures. They really are. And I don't know why they didn't use, because it's a computer type animation that you see there. And I'm not sure why they don't use that as kind of a placeholder. And once they actually cast the figures, put the actual figure there. But they're not accurate. In other words, if I had not seen somebody's painted or the naked lead in the Z range, I would never be tempted to buy any because the figures just look wrong. They look proportioned improperly. Who makes the best mid-Republic Punic Romans in 15mm? Mid-Republic Punic Romans. Well, Punic Romans has to be the Polybian list. So, I mean, if I had to do it all over again, if I didn't have one of those armies, I would go with Forged in Battle, without a doubt. I don't care how much they cost. You know, they're expensive for us in the States. I would definitely go Forged in Battle. I like the pose variety, and they look really nice. Museum range are excellent, but I already have miniatures for most of Z ranges released so far. Absolutely. They showed that's my gripe with Coruscant. You know, Coruscant figures are really cool, but they showed up 10 years too late for me. I just don't need them. You know, they make things that I already have, or I've already painted, or that I'm already happy with what I have, and I don't feel like rebuying the army again that may end up sitting. You know, if you have an army that you're not working on, and you see figures that you like better than the ones you have, there's no point in re-upping with better figures and not painting them either. You know, and if you want to paint the latest and greatest figure and want to get rid of the other ones you have, who's to say that you're going to find a buyer for them? You know, they may just not even be interested in buying old figures. I don't mind. I mean, these figures are older than shit. These tabletop Romans. Forged in Battle has some new Normans that look beautiful. I don't care. I'm gonna paint these. I have them, and I don't hate them. You know. And honestly, I'm getting kind of a thrill. Fetish is probably a little too much, but I'm getting kind of a thrill of painting these less than ideal figures and showing you guys how they paint up really well. I'm really enjoying that. You know, I gotta figure out what color horse this first one's gonna be, and let's do the dude with the chainmail. And man, I really need that little light so I can see what the colors are. But I lose my mouse then. But I'm not really using my mouse. All right, let me go plug that in. This stuff got moved in the room because we had the Roomba come in here and do a sweeper. This is actually pretty handy when it comes to another light source. For the paints. Taking a look at Coruscant 15mm Republic Romans. I have not. The problem with Coruscant I have is they use multiple sculptors, so they're not all consistent looking. Joe was using a Serbian army last night that was made up of Coruscant figures, and the horses were massive. They were massively large horses, and they were long too. And I don't know how the hell he got him on a stand. And he did a hell of a job getting him on the stand, because it looked like, you look at that and like, that's not going to work. But he did. He got him on there. And I've seen some of their stuff as these multiple sculptors. And werewolf fur, that's who this guy's going to be. Coruscant, the only place I found the man-powered catapult. I'm going to make one. I'm making one for this army. I will. It may not be that nice. It may not have a crew. I haven't decided yet. But I ended up getting this in the mail. I was surfing around and on eBay of all places, because I don't use eBay anymore very often. I don't necessarily have a problem. Was this medieval siege weapons, Byzantium in the Islamic world in India. And I actually got this for $6 shipped. I found it on eBay. And it said good condition, and I'm like, oh boy. Because I'm kind of a Nazi when it comes to books. I don't like them being damaged. And maybe Nazi is not the correct terminology. But you know what I get about that. I'm really anal retentive about the books. So, but this is like on a store shelf. This is not good condition. This is brand new. There's nothing wrong with this. So, this is the one that they claimed was for a Byzantine one here. I don't know about doing all those, all the furs. What am I looking for? The skins as a covering. But this is the one that's for the Byzantines. So I may build that something like that. And not put a crew. I'm gonna look and see if there's a crew, but I want it to fit easily on a 40 by 40 stand. So, anyhow, we're gonna make it out of little sticks. Looking forward to doing that. I don't know how the hell it moves 200 paces with it not having wheels, but you mostly bought generals from Forge and Battle. Other companies don't tend to do enough different general figures. Can't have enough general figures. Can't have enough personality figures. I looked at Forged in Battle, and they have a figure that looks just like Sulla. And I'm like, oh man, I want to build another army. I want to build another Republican army just so I can have a Sulla figure, but I wish DBA had separate generals, so you could have a stand like this with, your general on there and maybe one other guy, and you can attach them and detach them. We'll have to leave that for other set of rules that we may work on in the next 10 years, 15 years. Square matchsticks are great. I do, and I have a whole pile of them. I have a whole pile of them. Yeah, the Chinese one that they make. It's really nice. Yeah, Mitch has that in his Jin army. I may end up not doing the catapult accurate. In other words, those little cords and stuff that are man-powered, I may not do it. I might turn it into a counterweight one. But I'm going to build a little catapult. Or at least I'm going to attempt to. And if it becomes too frustrating, then we'll go to a different thing. The other option is to do a crossbow thing. But the crossbow ones I've seen are almost like inside of a cage. And they just don't look right. There's a few things I've come across that just, I don't care if they're accurate or not. They just don't look right. And if they don't look right, then I'm just not going to even fool with them. Nobody says I got to do it a certain way. So, besides, a lot of these things are based on only one manuscript. So, maybe my idea is based on a manuscript that no one's seen yet. Well, we're going to do that because one of the important things for me is that it fits on the stand. Otherwise, it ends up creating a big issue with fitting things on a battlefield, and that's really annoying. When it keeps happening and you've got to adjust things and be verbal about who's what. So if anybody was using Museum the other night, I guess it would have been Randy. I'm trying to think what army he used. He was using pre-Vedic Indians and Akkadians. Not Akkadians, Sumerians. Yeah, they were Z-range museums. He only has a handful of armies, but I think he's been a wargamer for many years. I think he just didn't get into DBA or something like that. But so it's kind of cool that he's doing all the book one armies because I'm doing the other extreme. I'm interested in the late stuff. So, you know, I'll play anything, but if I'm gonna paint stuff, yeah, I want to paint the later, the book 3, book 2 stuff. I mean, book 3, book 4 stuff is what appeals to me the most. 'Cause I love heraldry. And things of that nature. I'm actually in the process of repairing my horrid sleep pattern. I found out if I delayed sleep phase syndrome, which means my body naturally wants to go to sleep later and later than normal. Doing what's called chronotherapy. Mr. Cheney, holy shit, you're up early. Is that the wet palette? The huge one you bought? No, it's not. It's not big. It's the measurements are probably on the box. What would that be? 6 by 9, something like that. 6 by 9. They make this in a couple different sizes. I wouldn't want this to be bigger, because I don't use the middle portion as much. I use the edges. This is the Everlasting Wet Palette Painter. You want to get this from Amazon. If you order directly from these folks, you end up having to pay shipping. So there's basically no shipping on it. It's like under 20 bucks or something. I paid too much for this. I paid $50 for this. This was like 3 years ago. But you know what? If this was $200, it's worth it. Because I get my money's worth out of this stuff. Let's see if it says on here what size it is. It does not, but it's, I don't have a ruler handy. 1, 2. It's maybe, it might be 5 by 7 or something like that. It's the perfect size. If it was bigger than that, it just wouldn't work. But Army Painter makes one now. This one's not now a lot less. Maybe the store just had it marked up. I don't know. It was at one of our shows. I picked it up 2-3 years ago. Well, more than 2 years ago because of the, you know what. You go to sleep 3 hours later than you did the night before until you're going to sleep at a normal time and getting up at normal time. Likely I'll be close to where I want by tomorrow, actually. Excellent. Mr. Hanna, welcome. You can mix the Z range with Zyston. They're compatible in size, give you more variety of formations. You like book 2. Lots of people do. Been a wargamer since 2008. Don't have many complete armies either. Have a lot of single miniatures and 28mm scale painted and such. Life of a rancher. Well, don't forget to shoot some coyotes for me. Mr. Dirk, welcome. From the land next to the land down under. It's New Zealand. That's Australia's Puerto Rico. I actually used that line yesterday, but it wasn't a reference to that. I was talking to a guy at work, and he says, yeah, his ancestors were from Barbados. I said, Barbados, that's Trinidad's Puerto Rico, which is not accurate. That actually would be Tobago. But I got a laugh out of him just the same. Oh, we got a big crowd tonight. Excellent. Man, you guys are up early. You know, the worst thing you guys can do is not show up. Well, there's actually worse things you can do, but we're not going to go there, give you any ideas. But I have a hard time staying motivated if there's nobody here, especially if I'm sleepy, which I don't think that's the case right now, even though I was up till like midnight last night. Went to a birthday thing we were doing for my daughter, so yeah, this is why I started this channel. Well, the main reason I started this channel, so I could stay on track, because I was just getting bored painting with myself. And even though this is kind of a monologue of sorts, at least it forces me to, oh, you know what? I didn't get the magic drippings out. I bet they're dried up. Nope. I love it when I'm wrong. Excellent. So I think these people are called the CUMANS. Although you look at them, they could be CUMANS. I never gave much thought what they were called. They don't come up in conversation very often. Actually, this horse is extremely well detailed. There's all kinds of accoutrement that's on there. And they look as detailed as some of the figures from Merlaton for the Russians, which are pretty well detailed figures as well. These figures actually may be more detailed, and they're really old. Well, I don't know, really old, but certainly from the 90s. And they're nice. This horse actually has a face that would belong like on almost like a Disney cartoon. Almost looks like the face of that horse in, what was that movie? Tangled? Something like that. I gotta be careful. I can't talk about Disney stuff. They'll want to sue me for every penny. Those guys have gotten way too big for their britches. Try to avoid painting some of the stuff because it just ends up getting painted over again. So there's no point in painting little straps and there's all kinds of stuff this guy's got all over his neck. I'm sure the white is DOA. Too late. You gave me ideas already. That's right. 11:30 a.m. here. Not early at all. And I guess the stream's going okay. Yeah, I have no control over that. I don't know what's... I don't know why sometimes there's issues and sometimes there isn't. USA, isn't that Canada's Puerto Rico? Well, it's got to be an island. It's got to be an island, Dirk. You can't just call something Puerto Rico if it's not an island. No, Mexico doesn't work either. Actually, I heard somebody refer to... and I don't know how accurate this is. I just hear things. I just paint and I hear things. There we go. I just paint and I hear things. I heard someone one time that said that New Zealand was Australia's Scotland. I don't know how accurate that is. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me because there's no land border there, but maybe because of the sheep or something. I don't know. I have no idea. This one's from Tacom. The sponsors do not fit correctly, but still a good kit. Was out with a wife for a coffee and a scone. A scone, that word scone is a strange word. It almost looks like at one point it should have been pronounced scona. Anyhow, a scone. I digress. We got individual pots of jam for the scones. I put the empty jars in my pocket, using them for water whilst painting. My wife wasn't happy. Why wouldn't she be happy? Hopefully you had all the jam first. British foods. Not a big fan of them, right? But they have a section in our grocery store, which I think the greatest thing about this country, or one of the greatest things about this country, or it used to be one of the greatest things about this country, is that we have access to stuff from all over the world. In other words, we could get, not every product, but you can get products from all over the world. And as a general rule, people that have as a general rule, Americans tend to have adventurous palates, meaning at least the people I've encountered aren't like, what do we eat? Steak, potatoes, that's it, or, they'll try Indian food or, I guess Chinese food's everywhere, but I would say that Americans are welcoming of flavors from all over the world. And in our grocery store, there's a section that's, it's actually really nice. They've got, it's subdivided by different regions, and it's only a very small selection of things from, Britain, Mexican, Latin America, different Korean, that kind of stuff. And there's the little products kind of in the little thing. It's pretty well organized. And one of the things that they have in the British one that I've always wanted to try and looks really appealing to me, and I don't even have that much of a sweet tooth. That would be Mitch. Mitch is Captain Sweet Tooth. Is this thing called, in the British section, called lemon curd. And I've looked at the calorie count on it, and I'm like, wow, that's really high. And I'm really want to try it one time. And that's your jam comment reminded me of that. Is that sounds really, I like lemon things a lot. And I may have to try that. But yeah, it always catches my attention. I just haven't gotten around to trying that. I just don't have jams and stuff like that. It's not something I buy. I don't necessarily dislike them. I just don't need more sugar in my life, and I really don't have that much. But bought a $1 plastic cup from Walmart. Use that to hold the water to cleanse my brushes. New favorite Roman leader, Aurelian. So you have favorite leaders, unlike Joel, who claims that he has no favorite generals. I find that very odd. Because I even phrased it differently. I'm like, how about people you like? Because I understand not having any heroes. I get that. Everybody's got these huge faults, and you don't want to follow. You don't want to blindly follow people that are dickheads. I get it, because I really don't have any heroes either. But there's certainly favorite generals. Absolutely. Aurelian, that's an unusual one. Maybe I'll have to read up on him and maybe figure out why he was your favorite. He's one of them crisis of the 3rd century dudes, isn't he? That's something I need to read a little bit more about. But then I'd just be tempted to build armies of that period. I've mentioned this before. When I think Romans, I think of before Julius Caesar. I don't really think of the other guys, and it's not to poo-poo them. It's just not my thing. I think of the Republic guys. Haven't had lemon curd since you were a kid. Use disposable plastic glass. Favorite Roman general was Scipio. Africanus. The thing I don't like about Scipio, what's his real name? Scipio Cornelius, Publius Cornelius Scipio, I think is what it is that he's named just after his dad. So it's freaking confusing when you talk about him. Yeah, there's a really cool piece of artwork that this digital artist did about some Roman and Carthaginian generals. I'll have to find it and post it on the community thing. It's really neat. And it's kind of a cartoon, I would say, but a realistic looking cartoon, which I'm a fan of. I don't mind cartoons as long as they don't look like most cartoons. I've got this cup that my daughter got on a tour of Tallahassee. So this is my water cup for now. I really should use this as my water cup, but it's too nice to use for anything. Oh, can't see it there. Yeah, complaint department, please take a number. Hey, it's number 1. And it's just a coffee cup like a grenade. I use it to hold my brushes, though. It's too nice to use. Can't say that much, less smell it. I always liked Germanicus. Well, that's certainly a cool name. Germanicus is certainly a cool name, but I kind of don't think about the Romans after Octavian got his hands. I'm really affected, I mean, maybe everybody is. I'm affected by, TV shows and castings and stuff like that. And after seeing Rome, I don't like Octavian at all. He was just a putz character and needed to be punched. Regardless of how good or whatever he did, I'm not a fan of Octavian. I'm not a fan of people like Justinian, as opposed to Belisarius. I don't think much highly of people that are just, they know a lot of shit and they're in charge. If I'm going to read about stuff, I want guys that had military command as well. Most generals throughout history are appointed by birth rather than ability. Absolutely. Consequently, most of them are incompetent. That's correct. Your favorite Roman was Claudius. I haven't seen that series. You're also a fan of Marius. Say, we're going to fight because I prefer Sulla to Marius. We're going to fight. The problem with the social war is there's no army list for social war stuff. So what are you supposed to use for the allies? I almost posted that one time. You have a lot of Roman armies, even in the Punic period, that have Italian allied contingents that either consist of solid auxilia or fast auxilia, and no idea of what the figures look like. Do they look like an earlier period when they were fighting the Romans, how they would have, or did they go to a more Roman-ish look? There's no clue to that, and I guess I would probably, if I was doing that period, I would probably make a decision and probably be happy with whatever decision I made. But it just seems strange to paint Italian allies in the 1st century BC to look exactly like Italians would have looked like when the Romans were consolidating their position in the 4th century BC. It just seems inconsistent that they would look the same. But that's just me. But nobody sits out and makes, figures for that kind of stuff. Bring on the debate. Oh, it's not debate, it's a war. Aurelian beat Zenobia and the Gallic Empire. Yeah, the Gallic Empire is really interesting that they broke away. Yeah, that's there was actually a mod for the Total War game that has that as one of the factions. Use hordes for social justice warriors. Well, that's a different social war. That's one we haven't fought yet. Also a fan of Lucius Cornelius Sulla. There you go. See, I've already got one ally. Where are you sitting at, Nordic? The other guy that I find really interesting is Marcellus. And I've almost picked up there's a biography of him available for like under $8 or something like that shipped. But when am I going to sit down and read a book? Marcellus is pretty cool because Marcellus was kind of a Scipio type guy. Before Scipio took off, because him and Hannibal sparred for many years, and he kept Hannibal from taking over a couple of cities, and so nobody wants to read about a general that sat on his ass. So no matter how good Fabius was or how good his strategy is, it's not exciting to read about him. It's just like I said, when you're playing a war game, I'm not even going to say DBA because there's other war games that are not DBA that this applies to. It's fun to be on the offense. Now, you can't attack everywhere, but there's somewhere that you can maximize and push or advance so that your opponent has to react to what you're doing. If you just sit there defensively, the other guy's got complete control of the game. So there's always somewhere you can attack. So, I like reading about people that are aggressive. Not necessarily to the point of, their own extermination, but, maybe not somebody like Flaminius or something like that, got his ass ambushed, but I like reading about people that are aggressive. You can't be aggressive all the time, everywhere, but But I came across something really interesting, and I'm trying to think who the character is again. Oh, when I just gotten done playing my Thebans, where they were stomped everybody. I actually have that army to do. So I looked at Epaminondas, and Plutarch did a story of Epaminondas and one other guy, and I forget who it was. He compared those two, but those books are lost. I thought we had all of Plutarch stuff. I guess we don't. So it's just really shame that the stuff that we don't know about the limited amount of stuff that we know about these people, and then some of it's gone, Top of the mountain, come and get me. Can't seem to find Gallic Empire army list. Early Franks, maybe? No, it's a Roman list. It's I'll do one for you here. Let's go back in time. Let's go back in time in the days of 2.2. And I'll show you my copy of 2.2. I actually have a new version of this that I haven't touched, and I don't want to touch it. This is pre-internet on my phone. This is what entertained me everywhere I went. Was this silly ass book. This silly ass book that I got in 2004, and I used to keep it in my backpack, and sometimes the backpack got wet, which means the pages got wet. This is the opposite of how all my books are, but it's well loved, well used. In 2.2, there is a campaign in the back, here it is. This campaign is called, I'm going to show it to you and then I'll read it. I can't do both. Actually, maybe I can do both. Let's zoom this in. Okay. This particular one is called Carausius's Britain, right here. And the army lists are Scots, Picts, Britain, Carausius, I guess he was a breakaway governor. That's 264A. That's Middle Imperial Roman West. Saxons, which is Mitch's favorite army, early Anglo-Saxons. It's warband, and the site of warband. Franks, and Roman Gaul, which is also Book 264A. So it should be Western, Middle Imperial West is what the Roman Gaul province should be. So, anyhow, yeah, good times with this book. I don't miss it at all. I don't miss. I had some good times. I probably played 800 games of 2.2, maybe a little bit more. But yeah, and I got a new copy that I got probably around 2012, before 3.0 came out. And I was fortunate that when I started playing this, it had only been out about 6 months. So anyhow, well loved. And I almost got to the point where I memorized all the army lists. Not that that was the intent, but yeah, Roman Gaul. That time period is extremely complicated. Extremely complicated. Most people don't know about that. I would have never known about it had I not encountered it in a few history things. So, okay, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. I'm glad you're on the internet now. That's Texas Jim, formerly Arizona Jim, who travels quite a long way to play with us a couple times a year. We're glad to have him. He's a good guy. Okay, let's get the chainmail done on this dude. Yeah, they ran a sale on the Total War games a couple of weeks last weekend, and they ended up picking up. I didn't want to pay full price. I ended up picking up the Attila one, and I was disappointed in the Attila one because it actually was. It came out after Rome Total War 2, but it's less detailed, and I don't know, a lot of that stuff I just get just for inspiration. I'll play it a little bit and just get bored, you know. But sometimes when you start reading about history and you try getting something that's to inspire you about history, and within the very early stages of getting it, you realize that this that's supposed to help you is not that helpful, because there's some information that is just blatantly incorrect, that you're wondering, if that thing that's so obvious is incorrect, then what else that is not so obvious is incorrect? Chainmail's the easiest thing to paint? Absolutely. You've been playing too, Rome 2. I have as well. You played any of the mods? I can't get the ship combat. I just can't do the ship combat. I have to auto-resolve those. I've tried. I've watched videos on it. I just don't get it. The land combat is okay. I played a lot of the original Rome. Mainly with the Total Rome well, with two mods. One that was the Rome Total Realism, and then the Europa Barbarorum back in the day. Back in the day, meaning, you know, the mid 2000s, mid to late 2000s. And but unlike many other video games, I don't go and play through all the nations. I'll pick a couple of them, and that's who I'll play. Unlike, say, something like Diablo or something like that, where I've played all the characters multiple times, all the way through, maxing them out. When I play a game that's kind of administrative or something like that, I don't want to sit there and play every nation. It's just too redundant. But I've get to the point where I don't want to do the individual battles myself, because I hate sieges. They're just boring as shit to do. I can't say how they are in Rome too, because I haven't fought a single one on my own. I don't want to do sieges and shit like that. And the set piece battles, if I get attacked and I'm outnumbered, I take personal control, and sometimes you can really salvage your situation. But what I really like the most about is the of Rome 2 as opposed to the first one is the progression. You can kind of role play your generals and characters quite a bit, almost like what I've heard you can do with like something like Crusader Kings, which I've never played. Crusader Kings, that's too much politics, not enough combat. So I like the idea that I can play the individual battles if I want to, but it just boiled, all the battles turn into the same thing. You take your line, you extend your line as much as you can so it holds, and you bring your fast elements to envelop and hit the guys from the rear, start breaking them. If you see the general coming around, you go after him, encircle him, kill him, his whole enemy army falls apart. And you can win a battle where you're outnumbered 2-1. Generally, it's difficult, but it can be done. And the more battles you win, the more experience your guys get, and the easier the next battles are. It becomes kind of a lack of a challenge. Pants. What color pants we're going to do for this guy? I feel like these guys ought to have some kind of blue pants. So I'm going to get some light blue pants for this guy. You're playing Elder Scrolls 5. Is that this? I think I played one of those on the Xbox. I didn't care for it. The whole village looked the same over and over. Survival mode is a great layer of game. By the way, watch Devil's Double. Great suggestion. It's an excellent movie. My favorite line from the whole movie. Give me the keys, give me the keys, give me the fucking keys. Obviously, I can't say it at the level that he said it in the movie because there's people sleeping in the next room over. But yeah, great movie. Great movie. And kind of a sleeper. Yeah, that guy's crazy, man. I'd rather have Hitler as a neighbor than him. Uday is just freaking nuts, man. Anybody that you're like, this guy's crazy, but if I kiss his ass, I'll stay alive. That doesn't apply to him. He could take you out. It could just be that time of the month, Mr. Ben, welcome. Heard that Field of Glory Kingdoms was announced. It's like Field of Glory Empires, but for the medieval era. I haven't played Field of Glory Empires. I know what you're talking about. It seems like it looks good. I'm not much of a strategic kind of player. I would enjoy Rome Total War more if it wasn't repetitive, or if it was against humans. I think it's the fact that it's against a computer is just kind of like, But that's fine. I don't need to like computer games a lot because they take away from doing this. So I just kind of use them for inspiration. And I've played Field of Glory quite a bit on computer. Actually, I was playing tournaments and stuff. It was just consuming too much time doing that. Didn't early Byzantines tend to wear blue pants? I don't know. I haven't done research on them. Maybe. Survival mode makes you have to eat food, sleep, and avoid freezing to death. You can't fast travel. Really changes the dynamic of the game. Huh. And I'm not opposed to... I actually prefer fantasy to science fiction. I mean, as far as kind of games. As far as computer games, I don't always play. It doesn't always have to be historical because, let's face it, there's not a whole lot of really good historical computer games. But one game I thought that was really unique, the way it handled things, was a game called Dungeon Siege. And when it came out, it's kind of a role-playing game, but you could end up managing multiple people, and it's isometric, so you could like move around and stuff. It's probably really dated by today's standards, but what was really neat about it at the time was you start off with a character. You get to play whether your character is male or female. That's it. And you get like maybe a hand weapon, a bow, and like a spell. And if you decide to use the bow, it improves. And you eventually work yourself into being a bow person. Same thing with the hand weapons. Same thing with the spells. You start using spells, you get mana at a slow rate, And as you start doing things, your skill in those things improves. So you kind of create your own character. It's not like all of a sudden like you're a bow person and you shoot kind of good with a bow. No, it's that you're basically a lump of clay and you get to mold your character, and you decide what the character is going to be. If you end up using a lot of magic, you end up being a magic user. And I thought that was kind of unique. Maybe there's other games that do that as well, but it kind of caught me off guard that's how that game was. It was a game I was never able to finish because the computer at the time, it ran really jagged there towards the end of the game. I'm thinking like 2/3 of the way in, but it was pretty neat. I really liked the way it handled things. I'll tell you what, I'd never have let my daughters leave the house while that guy was around. Yeah, he was a loose cannon, man. Elder Scrolls series really takes some getting used to. The world's expansive and the history they built into it is great. So, fantasy. My gripe with fantasy is this. There was a game around 2000, 2001, came out. It's called Baldur's Gate. And I played it quite a bit. And it was cool. It wasn't like Diablo where you were finding stuff all the time. You found you find a hat that was a +2 or something. It wasn't like you find all kinds of different variations of the stuff, but you could put on your equipment and your little characters would move it on there. But there was this one scene I came across too with freaking magic arrows, and I just never could get past it. They'll have some magic thing that is just too powerful, and after you get crushed by the same thing 12 times, I'm just like, I'm gonna go somewhere else. I don't enjoy pounding my head into a wall. So I don't like games that are too role-play-y. I like something like, well, Diablo's a perfect example. I'd get the whole family to play Diablo, including the wife. So somewhere between, I don't like things that have too much role-playing aspect to them. Go talk to this guy, go speak to this one, I'm not really that interested, or if it has too much search for traps crap, I don't know if that makes any sense, but I actually have an easier time with fantasy than science fiction, because science fiction, there's just some science fiction that's just, in my opinion, dumb, doesn't really apply to me. There'll be some technology that's really advanced and something else that's more retarded than we have now, and it just doesn't make sense, So I think everybody's idea of fantasy is probably a little bit closer than everybody's idea of science fiction. Because science fiction can be anywhere between, modern day, you have something along the lines of Resident Evil. That's science fiction, right? It's pretty much present day, but there's, science experiments to things that involve time travel and things like that, which, it starts getting too wild out there. I'm not really that interested because, you don't have enough structure for my taste. So I prefer fantasy to science fiction. I prefer historical, there's no doubt about it, but, not a fan of Baldur's Gate games. Read the book years ago. The games are just MMO. Don't care for those, like the Ultima series. I remember Ultima series. Oh, I played that with a friend of mine. He wanted to sell every damn spear. He'd go down to the trolls and sell all the spears. I don't like doing things that are just time wasters. I don't like buying arrows and shit like that. Bard's Tale. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I haven't played that, but I know what you're talking about. Ultima. Yeah. He'd mapped all the dungeons on graph paper. One that was pretty cool, I gotta remember what it's called again because I keep forgetting. I think it's called Darklands. Was one that was set in early Renaissance Germany, around 1500, and you have this party that you go around and you have to kind of solve with this riddle, and it involves like the Teutonic Knights and a demonic cult. You end up having to fight Baphomet at the end of it, and I think it was a Microprose game actually. Came out in like the mid-90s, and we played that quite a bit. But you had to deal with the thuggers and sell equipment, and really primitive by today's standards. And I'm not a retro gamer. Like, I'm fine playing those old games, had a great time, but I am not going back and looking at graphics that look like that. I've been there, done that, had that done to me, not doing it again. I am not one that's nostalgic for playing old looking games. All right. Minecraft. I remember when the kids were playing Minecraft. I'm like, that looks like shit. That looks like how Doom looked like when we played. I did plenty of time on Doom. I failed morale checks playing Doom. That's a sign of a good game when you fail a morale check. You're trying to run away from something while you're screaming. I would not want to play Doom as like a VR game. Because the VR stuff, man, I'm telling you, it's personal. It's personal. I was playing the Walking Dead VR game. I had to nope, I'm stopping. I'm not doing this. And the Walking Dead game is not a scary game per se. It just, it's got startle stuff. And the game cheats. I don't like any game where it's like, okay, I enter this room. All right, cool, methodical. There's 5 entrances. All right, we'll go down this way and make sure that nobody can get behind us. And all of a sudden, after a certain period of time, people just appear behind you, and there's no way they could get there. That's bullshit. Okay, I don't like things like that. That's I'm real methodical when it comes to something like that, where it's like, all right, there's only one of me. We got to make sure that we don't get ambushed or surrounded. Should try Dead Space if I like Doom. Doom had great music when it came out. Great music. They have a Walking Dead VR game. They do, for the Oculus. And just like you said, it is in survival mode all the time. So you have to eat. which isn't a big deal. You have to sleep. Again, not a big deal. Here's the big deal. Every single thing you use, as you use it, loses its durability. And it's not like Diablo durability. It's significant durability. For instance, you go out and build a bat. How do you build a bat? You pick up pieces of wood, and then you have 2 things of tape. You have a recipe, right? You go back to your base and you build the thing. Cool, I got this bat. It's good to bash in maybe 8 heads in. And then you need to get another bat. So it's extremely limited durability. And it's really stressful. Now, what is it really good about? Oh, it's really good about immersion. I mean, you get a bat and you can hold it with one hand. You can put another hand on it, and you got 2 hands on the bat. You've got your backpack where things are stored, so you can put your bat back. And you have to do all those actions with the controllers, and it's very, very natural. It's so natural that it can spook the shit out of you sometimes. You can basically deal with maybe 2 zombies at the same time, maybe. And the game's difficulty ramped up way too hard at one point. I go around a corner, there's 6 of them. You can't deal with 6 zombies. You got like 1 weapon you can have down here. You can have a pistol, which also not only does it use ammo, but it also wears out as you use it. And but the thing about those VR games is, until you're playing the game, you can't really appreciate how good the game is, because you'll watch videos on YouTube and you'll be like, it doesn't look that good. Because I wasn't impressed until I played one. I'm like, oh, this is good. I mean, I pulled up my pistol and it's got all the serial numbers like my real pistol does. And I mean, it's impressive. Now, does everything look that great? No, there's a couple, but it looks damn good. It looks really good. And I literally was playing one time like, nope, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to go there. I turned the thing off. I'm like, it was just too stressful. But yeah, there's some VR stuff that's really good. There's a flight simulator that is really, 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 really good. Because you're looking, and then you can look up while you're looking, so you can see. Normally in a flight simulator, you can only see what's in front of your guns or in your reticle, or a limited area around that. And now you can see past that. So if you got like a bubble canopy, you can see what's about to show up into your reticle. So you could plan a little bit. You can keep your eye on a plane. If you have motion sickness issues, you're screwed. It's obvious I do not have motion sickness issues, but I was cognizant of the fact that this could really make some people really sick. But I think it's extremely well done. And it's all self-contained in a headset. The computer and everything is in that headset. It's really pretty amazing. It is really, really amazing. Now, they don't make very many games I'm particularly interested in playing, which I think is a good thing, because I need to be doing this, not playing games, because anybody can play games. But I mentioned it before, they released a World War II version of the game, and I'm a World War II nut, not necessarily the Pacific Theater. This was a Pacific only thing, but I used to work at a hobby store and used to build plastic models and know about my planes. So I started talking about these planes in between games to these people, and these people are just gamers. They don't know jack shit about World War II. And I'm like, this is the wrong crowd for me to hang out with, You guys aren't war gamers. You're just gamers. I'll take an aluminum bat for $1,000, please. It breaks down to, how much does an Oculus go for these days? I don't know, $200-$300, not more than $3. I think if zombies happen, I'd put on my armor. If zombies happen, I'd consider opting out of that game. I don't think in Walking Dead I've seen the show. Of course, I don't watch it anymore. I ever saw somebody using a machete, and that'd be like my number one weapon. Why don't you have a machete? The most obvious thing. I'm not necessarily attracted to zombie stuff. The interesting thing about zombie stuff isn't the zombies. It's the fact that there's no rules, and you come across some piece of civilization, whether it's a building, a business, whatever it is, that's not functioning. And what's left? What is there to explore? The best zombie game I've ever played, and it's available on computer, and it's available on Xbox One, and it used to be on the 360 as well, is a game called State of Decay. It is absolutely, in my opinion, incredible. It's incredible because it's not excruciatingly difficult, meaning you can win, ish, because you can just reload and go to another zone. But it's kind of like a treasure hunt. You go and you're like, there's this town or multiple towns. You go in there and what is there to explore? What do I find? Oh, maybe I find rounds for a 357, but no 357. So you end up collecting different things as you go. You can play multiple characters. It's not first-person view, although you could play it in first-person view. And you have to, supplies get used up every day, but it's not at a pace where you're like, stressed out. You have time to think. I don't want things to be easy, but I don't want to be rushed and have that insanity all the time. And it is a wonderful game. I've played it a lot throughout the however many years it came out, but it's a Microsoft Studios thing only. So if you have an Apple or if you have a PlayStation, you're up a creek. Girl uses katana, not a machete. Never understood the attraction of zombies. Yeah, it's the end thing. It's more interesting than superheroes. Except The Boys. The Boys is awesome. If you've never seen the Amazon series, The Boys is spectacular. If you like Deadpool type humor. I've enjoyed zombie stuff, but it's not because of the zombies. It's because of the crumbling civilization type situation. It's kind of like a post-nuclear war type thing, There is a show that's on Netflix now called Black Summer. There's 2 seasons. The second season's just not watchable. The first season's pretty good. It's not wonderful. It's pretty good. And one of the interesting things about the series, let's see if I can say this without ruining it, if you guys haven't seen it. One of the characters is a deaf mute. Or maybe they're just a mute. They can't speak, okay? Or they won't speak until they turn. And then all of a sudden they have all kinds of things to say. It's like, it's the turning into a zombie was the cure for that person. But Walking Dead was all right until they killed the governor off, and then wasn't worth a damn, in my opinion. But then I'm a fan of David Morrissey, so there's that. Never got into superheroes. Only comic hero I like is Batman. I like zombie stuff because the end of civilization is intriguing. What was that movie? Was it Batman versus Superman? Where there was a dream sequence where Batman had guns? Yeah. He was dual wielding pistols akimbo. So you got a freaking battle ninja with armor with guns. Yeah. That's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, I like Batman. I just wish he was more of a vigilante and like he would take people out. Sorry, I value that skill. Not like, well, we'll capture you. Well, he's just going to escape. Just get rid of him. turn him into the law. Let the man. The law didn't work. That's why he's out on the freaking rules. Go take the dude out. He's bad. Yeah, I like Batman too. The superhero thing is I'm okay with it. My daughter kind of grew up with it and liked it on her own. So I watched the movies because of that with her, but they're too damn complicated. They all tie into each other. I don't like multiple superheroes in a movie. I think it's just it's too much. There's many superheroes I don't like, you know. Batman used guns in the early days. Yeah, I do like the boys, but it is oh so wrong. That's why it's funny. My favorite scene, if you've seen both scenes, and if you haven't seen both seasons, well, I'm gonna ruin a small part of it for you. My favorite scene was the see how vague I can be. Was the chocolate bar with Black Noir. That caught me off guard. That was hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. That was absolutely hilarious. Kind of like Punisher then. I like the Punisher movie. I don't like the series, but I don't like what's his face. I don't like John Bernthal. I've had my fill of New Yorkers. I really had my fill of New Yorkers. I don't. That's a different world. They're a very small population of the United States, but everything seems to be there. And that silly ass accent is just, I've had my fill. So I don't see myself watching any more De Niro movies or that kind of stuff. So yeah, I like the Punisher thing with Thomas Jane, and that one was pretty good, you know, for what it was. And if you guys haven't seen, there is a mini movie that came out around 2010 before they had come out with the series. So after the first movie, which came out in, well, actually there's a movie in the 90s with Dolph Lundgren. I think I've never seen it, but anyways, it's as a kind of a crowd sequel to the Thomas Jane Punisher from 2005. They came out in like 2008, 9, something like that. It's on YouTube. It's like 7 minutes long. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you seeing it. It has Thomas Jane in it. It's kind of an independent movie. Who else is in it? Shit. It's called Dirty Laundry. So look up on YouTube. It's called Dirty Laundry. It's like 10 minutes long or something like that. And it's worth watching. It's got the guy from what's his name? Perlman. Perlman's in it. Whatever his name is. He plays a minor role in it. But it's worth watching. Dirty Laundry. Just do Punisher Dirty Laundry movie, and it'll come up on YouTube. It's like 10 minutes long or something like that. It's really well done. Like quality. It's not like a home movie or something. What's your Armenian unit look like? Oh, you didn't see? Here. Thought I was going to have issues with them meshing, but I know, I got to move this the opposite way it should move. Yeah. So the only Byzantine foot troops that they have are the guys that are going to be the front line of the bowmen. It's an 8 bow stand. So And I think I'm going to replace the spears on them. I don't think I want trouble on down the line where that stuff falls apart or whatever. I think we're going to go that route. Yeah, the boys is hilarious. Man, what's his name likes the C word. Whew. I wonder if the popularity of the superhero thing isn't driven largely by merchandising. You know, they'll make a movie, then they can sell all this merchandise based on the movie. I wonder if a lot of it isn't driven by that. You know, something that necessarily isn't necessarily apparent on the first go. Because we just want good entertainment. They want to make a buck. So, this is my first time painting these Gladiator figures. I've painted Gladiator figures, but I've never painted this Achman guy's figures. And I'm impressed. I think they're really, really nice. I've heard good things about them, and I haven't really looked at the castings until I really looked at the castings. I mean, I've got my contacts out, so I got front row tickets to this, and they're really pretty nice. You have an Armenian army. Which one do you have, Kevin? I have one too. I have the early one. That was like my fourth army I ever painted. My first Wimp War army. And I've played almost 100 games with them. I haven't played them in a while, but they're a really fun army to play. For sure, for sure. I like these light armies. Where is the Brown? I don't want to use for his. Yeah, we'll use this Flat Earth for his Javelin. This guy's going to have black hair. Not sure who the sculptor is, but I have a lot of Gladiators Mayan range. That's the same sculptor. Yeah, that's Achman. Yep. How many total stands do I have to do for this army? A bunch. A bunch. Probably close to 16. Probably close to 16. Because I'm going to have some variations of it. Like, they can have a total of 3 light horse, but if you want to play them heavy, you only use 1. You only use these guys here, but I'm going to paint the other ones as well. Because we're probably going to do some historical scenarios with this army when I get them done. That's probably something that we're going to start implementing as I go. We're going to start playing some historical scenarios. You know, kind of like the Connors games. You know, although not that many. It's not like there's going to be, you know, 17 scenarios with the Byzantines, but I'm going to go into something. I think it's a fun way to play the game. Fun way to play the game. So yeah, it's about 17, about 5 extra stands than the normal. Yeah, see, these light horse take a long time to paint. These are quick. These little guys are super quick. There's a small horse, not much to them. So I actually appreciate that these guys are a one-piece casting as well. I don't have to cogitate about what horse they're going to be on and what pose. It's just one less thing I got to worry about. They make a whole pack of these guys, but there's only 2 different poses, and I've got 1 of each on the stand. There's a javelin thrower, and then there's this guy with the bow. Well, he has a bow also. It's just put away for safekeeping. Let's do the bow next. So let me get a color that's a little bit yellower. Let's put our browns away, Tony, so we don't have them consuming my desk space. I'm still floored by how many people have really restrictive work areas on painting. Oh, minifigs. I like minifigs. Tigranes and 260. Yep. I don't have the Tigranes mod for it, but I have the 226B. I like that army a lot. My home base store was official distributor of minifigs for the East Coast. Oh, you lucky bastard. I like minifigs. Some of their molds need reworking and are very flash ridden, but as a general rule, I like their posings a lot. As a general rule, I like their posings. Sometimes they're a little stoic, but they're stoic in a good way. I'm going to have to take a short break here shortly to go check on something. But I should be back. Yeah, I like minifigs. They got some javelins of unusual length, though. Javelin of unusual length. Can't find anybody distributing these days. No, you got to order directly from them, and they take a sweet ass long time to get them to you. You definitely have to do some planning. Okay, folks, I will be right back in a few, and be back shortly. Okay, we're back. And store unfortunately closed back in 2016. And that's pretty late. That's pretty late. When after you search for minifigs you stay, only find the Lego-like things. So you saw on eBay, I doubt you'll get enough for an army unless you come upon a lot. Lots of Romans on eBay. Bacchus has 6mm packs, 9. You know the reason why I would never do 6mm is this. I think it'd be a massive pain in the ass to try to get the goop in between the figures and then paint it. And that's it. I think it would look right. I think it would look pretty cool. They're certainly affordable. And you got Bacchus and Heroics and Ross. I don't know if you can mix the two, but the Bacchus figures look pretty good. Vacuum plate WRG. First time early Imperial Romans. Those rules used over 100 miniatures easy. So I have enough for a few armies. We had several locations kick him out before that, so the store was dead before that. Unfortunately, he wasn't good with business. It's difficult to run a business. It's even worse if your business is a restaurant, I think. I think restaurants are really, really tough. Because you have a business, and on top of being a business, you have a thing called a health inspector that a retail store wouldn't have. So that's probably a massive pain in the ass to deal with. Alright, so this guy's got some kind of a saddle, and then he's got like a cloth. And I have a bow case. Okay, well, he's got almost something that looks like sheepskin. Let's go ahead and paint that like sheepskin. We're gonna do that. I'm gonna do that like it's gray. Do you have an active brown around here? Yeah, let's work up to that. The first thing that started with in the early 90s is people wanted to mail order things just to save a few bucks. I think that's just stupid. You know, if you're just saving a few bucks, but then have to wait like a week or who knows how long, that doesn't really appeal to me. Now, if you got a mail order because the stuff isn't available, that's different. But you know, you have to wait, you run the risk of not getting the correct item, etc. So alright, that's what we're going to go with that. The bow case. Well, I'm not sure what kind of hat he has on. What kind of, it's banded, but maybe it's leather. See if I can find some pictures. I didn't find jack on these guys though. I try to play a game, but the people teaching it were always yelling at one another, and math is horrible. Yeah, yelling at one another never works. Bacchus don't mix with Ross and Heroics. In any case, most of the Heroics and Ross pre-20th century has been out of production for years. Listed on our website, but not available to purchase. Interesting. That's good to know. Not a fan of Heroics and Ross. Wouldn't want to mix them. There's another company like Bacchus, isn't there? I can't think of who they are. I'm not really in the know. I thought about doing Renaissance in that scale, but there just isn't enough figure variety. And I don't fall for they all look the same at that scale. Well, I wouldn't paint them the same. I mean, if I can't figure out what color to make the hat, obviously I'm just going to make it leather. That seems reasonable. Oh, here's a dude. Oh, I see. It's got a leather on the bottom and red towards the top. I don't think I want to give him a red hat. I just don't feel like it. It just doesn't look right to me. I don't mind giving him a red bow case like this guy has. Okay, that's what we're going to go with. There's lots of math. The figure strength was like, what type of unit? Say heavy infantry, so 3, metal armor +1, throwing weapon +1, shield +1, blah, blah, blah. WCW 6mm, I think it would look great. Don't mind if at the game tracks ammunition we use fire. I thought that was cool. Never got a chance to play it. Never got a chance to play it. Just about every game spends a significant amount of time on some aspect of the game. You don't really care that it spends a whole lot of time on that. For example, DBA spends way too much time on trying to conform on what you can do. Not always, but at some points it does. Once you mix it up with the armies, you're fine. But when you're trying to do that first contact, I think it's just a waste of time. I think that could be streamlined quite a bit. But that's for another time to be rectified. Rapey managers are compatible. Good enough reason not to give him red hat. Yeah. Yep. It's just somebody's interpretation. It's probably wrong. He might have had purple or pretty sure he did. Oh no. We can't have these fall on the ground. These are expensive. We don't need to buy these again. Real glasses are super expensive. And that's with having cheapo frames. They're just expensive. Buy frames that are freaking $300 for a pair of frames. You gotta be crazy. You gotta be crazy, man. I only use them at home anyways. I don't go out and wear glasses. If you're not used to wearing glasses and you wear glasses, I mean, I wear contacts. But if you wear glasses, man, it's like, and you move like this and things move afterwards, it's like freaking drunk, being drunk all the time. Yeah, this guy's got a leather hat. Banded leather hat. Little top portion might be a little metallic little cone. We might do that. I'll look at stuff and I'm like, that doesn't look right, you know? I'm gonna have to stop for sure close to 9. I get ready. I gotta get a haircut today. A week overdue. They canceled on me while I was en route last week. Kind of ticked me off. Yeah, this bastard gave these guys eyes. Big old bulging eyes. Didn't paint that white all the way to the end. There we go. And we still got any metallic. Yeah, let's use a little shinier one. You can polish the end of that thing. Where's the in-between one? Iron breaker. $10 mil. Yeah, there's just not enough variety for me to do 10 mil. I could see them looking better, yeah. ACW figures are all wrong, won't use them. My soldiers carrying rifles in the left hand while marching, it's not correct, so that would bug me. Too committed to 15 millimeter medieval trad-10s, me too. Love to play some battles in the Great Northern War. No one around here is interested in that period, or probably knows anything about it. Am I planning on coming back later today? Almost guaranteed no. I have a birthday party for a friend of the family around midday. Got to go to that, and may have something to do in the evening. It's unlikely, but I will be back tomorrow morning. I will be back tomorrow morning, and hopefully by tomorrow morning we can get this guy finished, because it's not going to be done in one session. It just has too many. It just has too many details. Well, the nice thing is let's not bump the computer. We don't need to buy another one of those. This is the wrong time to buy computers and cars and all kinds of stuff. I fortunately had the foresight to get my laptop just before the pandemic hit. So we don't need to buy another one of those for a long time. A long, long time. Oh, I never painted the blade on the javelin. Let's do that. Just have like the little rivets that hold the pieces of leather together on the horses. Yeah, it's a busy weekend. Tomorrow there shouldn't be anything to do, but today is super busy. Super busy. Time for lunch. Okay. Don't eat too fast. Something I have a bad habit of doing. eating way too fast. It's yummy. I like to eat. Let's do the cloth he's sitting underneath in red. Oh, we said we were going to do the bow case in red. Let's do the bow case in red. Let's go ahead and knock that out. Found out in my local hobby store nobody plays historical. Typical. Typical. Yeah, I have zero interest in playing Warhammer. If Warhammer was the only miniatures around, I probably wouldn't play miniatures. I don't really care for, well, I don't care for Games Workshop's policies. Their business model is not appealing to me. That they discontinue shit like that, and I'll buy another codex, and I can understand what they're trying to make a buck, but I value my time too. I don't want to all of a sudden work towards painting this stuff and it gets discontinued. So took the little end off that. Solved that right up. And everybody doesn't even paint that stuff, so like, why am I even doing that? It's really my biggest thing is they don't support things after a while. And I just don't want to commit all this time and effort and then it gets pissed away. Nobody plays all the stuff that I've spent thousands of hours working on. Bad enough you can't take this stuff to the grave. It's even worse when the limited time you have here on Earth, they're like, well, you can't use that anymore. I mean, I guess you can continue playing it, but then, they change shit. So the ones that are on here, it's all Games Workshop games. I just don't care for them. Yeah. Well, at least you do 28s. Imagine how somebody like me that doesn't do 28s feels. I'd do something like Saga or something like that, but even that one has the codex and they redid the rules, but at least they're the same. I don't know if they changed that much. We actually had a pretty decent amount of people that played Saga at our conventions in Orlando, and they stopped playing that too. But people are nomadic, you can't, some people are just always going to move from game system to game system, trying to look for the latest and the greatest. That's just how they are, No game's going to solve that. And there's just some of us that are like, we want to continue using what we're using, And the game we play isn't perfect, but it's better than jumping around. I have a saying, just because you don't value my time doesn't mean I don't value my time. I don't want to start from scratch again. I want to build upon what we have here. Saga's fun would be great in 15s. Yeah. Thinking about where my games are going to go. You want my army? No, I want you to stay alive. You got nowhere to be. We need you here. Like historical games around here, wham, at the mindset, just switching over, just doing model building. Well, I mean, you're in Pennsylvania. There's lots of historical gamers in Pennsylvania. All you got to do is find a Mitch, and the other people will just appear. It takes a long time, though. I live in a town that's very nomadic. It's a college town, so people come and go, and I've tried to run games at more commonly location stuff, but it's just, if people aren't interested, they're not interested. Like, just like I was mentioning a couple weeks ago, or maybe it was last week, where they were making this big to-do on the miniatures page or somewhere about, we got to get more female gamers. Well, females aren't interested in playing a game. It's like putting a metal detector and looking for a metal detector at a baseball field. If there's no coins to find there, because there aren't any coins, you're not going to find any. So, you know, you tried a couple times, but... And I have a severe dislike. I have a severe dislike for people that want other people to volunteer for shit. You need to do this. I'll tell you what I need to do. I need to do whatever the hell I want, okay? Because a hobby is about doing what you want to. And, you know, if it becomes too much of a trouble, too much of an ask, I'll just go do something else, you know? Somebody recently asked me on one of the posts, I think it was on the last video, and they thought I should do a rules video on troop types and what they're better for. And I'm like, you know, 2 years ago, I would have done that. And then realized that no matter how good a job I do, I'm going to miss something. And that's really unsatisfying to do that. And no matter how good a job I do that and don't miss something, somebody else on the other part of the world plays the game a different way. And I just realized, why am I doing all this effort for Phil Barker, who should have just written clearer rules to begin with? You know, rules for us mortals to understand. And yes, there's some people that claim that they understand all his rules, but every time we play, we encounter something new. Now, it's not something new we can't deal with. And I've just gotten to the point where it's like, look, we're just going to think about it. We're going to make our decision. And if you guys want to play a different way, you play a different way. So I have no interest in making this video that's going to be really unsatisfying, not everybody's going to agree with, and is going to burn me out on the game. You know, I'll do what I do. I'm already doing more than anybody else by a factor of, 1,000. And if you want something else, then you put it together, you know. I'm not going to make an unofficial guide to DBA 3.0. That's more work than creating my own set of rules, which would solve the gripes that I have with the system, which I'm in no position to start working on. If it even ever happens. So, paint what you enjoy, don't worry with other people. That's right. So I have a problem with people wanting to volunteer. That's not how volunteering works. Volunteering works is you decide what you want to do and you do that, and you don't get any recompense for it because you volunteered for it. You don't get dictated, you're going to do this, you know. Like, I'm going to come over to your house and I'm going to volunteer to mow your lawn. And then the owner of the house says, well, that's great, but I want you to do dishes. I didn't sign up to do dishes at your fucking house, okay? Do them yourself, asshole. So, yeah, I'm not doing any more rules videos because the biggest problem is they're really what am I going to do? Spend 8 hours doing an outlining everything out? It's not even my game. You know, so it's not my responsibility. I do this because painting is therapy, and working on rules is not therapeutic. Used to do 40K, nobody liked the way I painted. Nobody likes how I painted. Really? Who gives a shit? If you liked how you painted, and besides, you're playing 40K and you paint stuff. That's like a step above everybody else that just buys these overpriced models and never paints them. I don't like most gamers. You know what I mean by that. We are blessed, or I have been blessed with the people I've gamed with my whole life. I really have. Because I hear horror stories about the stuff, but a lot of it is, I wouldn't put up with shit. I'm not going to put up with somebody who smells bad. I'm just not going to. It's just not worth it. I don't have time to take a shower. Bullshit. Put on some deodorant. They make it in every size. So, but I've been really blessed that we have a real good group of guys that we want to have a good time. And that pretty much always happens. But you know, it goes both ways. You can't just be like, you know, pound people into the ground and then expect them to take it. I mean, they have to have a good time too. It's give and take. So, you know, if you're some butthole that all you want to do is pound on people, well, nobody's probably going to want to play with you. I've heard horror stories where there's a group of people that get together and play a game, and there's one guy that turns everybody off and ends up running everybody off out of the game except them, and they won't leave. I don't know how I deal with that. I'm not letting somebody just, you know, we've been really fortunate. We've been really fortunate, so. Club never reformed after COVID. Okay, Dirk, we'll see you tomorrow. Oh, game store moved further away. Not close to a lot of areas, so it's not worth going back. Yeah, hours are all weird now. Things were getting really good where places were open late and everything, and I guess that was just too much freedom for some people. They couldn't deal with it. Well, hopefully things get back to normal. But, you know, you can solve the government regulations that say you can't organize, but if people have been spooked to hide under the bed for whatever reason, it's going to be difficult getting some people back. That, and a lot of gamers have health issues, you know, which, you know, is something to consider. I don't. I went to the convention recently, and I realized how many people that were just in really bad shape, and I'm like, I don't want to end up like that. So I'm trying to work out every other day at least, and move around, and like we all do, you know, nothing crazy, but we're all a little bit more static than we should be. I moved into an actual mall, not a place I want to travel to. Yeah, malls ain't gonna last long. Good morning. Well, about time you woke up. About time for me to cut out. It's one big reason why I love model building, Tony. I don't even know just around to paint and build models. Jimi Hendrix. Extremely influential, but can't tell you that I like his stuff. But that's okay. but I admit he was extremely influential and talented. Just not my thing, A little too hard to listen to for my taste, but yeah, what's more important than the internet is, well, the internet's created a lot of problems, but for a hobby, it's, I think, been excellent. I think for wargaming, it's been probably the best thing, maybe even ever, because we're like a fringe, you know, group of people. I mean, I just hit 1,500 subscribers, and it's not a lot of people, but it is because, I mean, look, I don't get 20. Well, I'm not down on other scales. If you guys paint other stuff, paint other stuff. I mean, people were painting 15s when I showed up, and that's why I do 15s. But historical wargaming is very, very limited. And DBA videos aren't going to appeal to people that aren't into DBA, and a lot of people don't watch the paint sessions. That's fine, but we're very limited in scope. You guys on here, you guys are all over the world. If it was just like, well, we only apply to people from Florida, nobody would be on. Well, Joe would be my first person showed up. So we need the internet for a hobby to communicate with any number of people, any significance, but we need the whole world to be able to access them. So, Nordic, you're up in PA. You're the only person, I think, from PA that comes to the channel that I can think of. So, you need access to the resources of the whole world just so we can have somebody to talk to. Like, I don't even get to talk about this stuff that I'm doing with the people I play with because they're not painters. Maybe a little bit with Randy when he comes over, but Mitch is useless to me when it comes to this. And Joe, Joe paints, but Mitch isn't a painter, so I could have all kinds of cool stuff that I painted, and he's like, it's not his language. It's a foreign language to him. So I think the internet is wonderful for communicating with each other. I mentioned, actually, last night I was mentioning to somebody that I was big on traveling to Europe, but after this stuff that's happened the last couple of years, I don't care if I ever do. I mean, I'm okay with that. I would rather be able to communicate with people all over the world in this fashion and other fashions and never travel there than be able to travel there and not communicate with people over the world, because best case scenario, I go to Europe, I'm only going to be there for less than 2 weeks. So, how much can I really see, So, not that I'm opposed to traveling. It's just, they make it so damn difficult. So, and I'm not really willing to put up with issues when I'm using my limited vacation. So, Phil Hendricks was a god of guitar playing. He was talented. He was. I've been walking on a lot, still work, building myself, lost a lot of weight, doing most of painting gardens, so enjoy the natural light levels. Absolutely. Nothing like natural light. You come to this channel mostly for conversations. Excellent. I noticed other DBA bloggers, but they only play with themselves. Yeah. You're limited by what you can learn. I don't like blogging. I don't like to write. I really don't like to write. I didn't like to write in school. I get analysis paralysis. It's just not something I enjoy doing. And then you write, you just put all this effort in writing, and then somebody will ask something. I said, well, didn't you see my blog? No, I didn't. Then why? Who the hell am I writing for? Am I writing for myself? You need to do things for yourself, and if it benefits other people, Hallelujah. I'm doing this for me. If it benefits you guys, which apparently it does, and I greatly appreciate that it does, then more power. But I don't need to. I don't need to do. You don't need to do a hobby to be punished for it. You know, I get enough punishment. I only get paid when I'm being punished. How about a dark blue cloth on this guy? Let's do that. Dark blue. Let's start with this one, yeah. So I do not enjoy writing at all. And the biggest thing is people don't listen to you. I mean, how many things do you write on a daily basis, emails for work and stuff? And you send very specific emails that solve a problem, and the people don't answer all this stuff. It's just really frustrated. I don't need any more of that in my life than I already get. I've never enjoyed it. I'm not necessarily bad at it. I just don't enjoy it at all. And things always get taken out of context. Always. People only look at what they want to see. It's like DBA discussions. People will have, hey, I just played this game and they're trying to describe some kind of a situation without a picture. And everybody's looking at it somewhere completely different from each other. And I'm like, I'm not going to answer questions anymore that somebody doesn't have a diagram or a picture attached to it, because I'm going to give you the wrong answer. Inadvertently, I'm going to give you the wrong answer, and it's just going to go in different directions, you know. So the internet is the best thing with a hobby. It does have some down parts. It has some bad parts. The biggest down part I can think of as it relates to our interest is that not everybody's opinion should carry the same amount of weight. And that's not to silence people, but there's a lot of people, and this includes in other forums as well, car forums and stuff, where somebody will ask a question and they generally want to know the answer of it. And somebody with no experience is like the first one to chime in. And they're just, you know, I don't know why they won't get a merit badge of how to, you know, they're just, and this happens in the real world too, in face-to-face world. People are afraid to say that they don't know something. Now, we don't all know everything. There's lots of things I don't know, and I'm not bothered by it. But if you don't know something, shut the hell up, because you're going to lead people astray in directions that, you know, that are not useful, that are incorrect. And they'll tell somebody else something else that's incorrect. I don't know. There's a whole lot of that. A whole lot of that. You know, there's lots of people that answer questions about DBA rules, and they've never even played a single game. They've just read the rules. It's not the same. And that's not to say I get everything right, because I don't, but I want to. And but that happens everywhere, you know. What oil should I use in such and such? Oh, here we go again. And then you get, of course, the troublemakers that are like, oh, canola. You know, what kind of oil should I use in my car? Oh, canola. Just causing trouble. I don't want peeps at work don't understand your email. I write very concise, to the point emails. And I don't send out emails that ask 5 different questions that generate more emails. I like to have a conversation with somebody, see what they want, and then give them their options. And when we decide on an option, I'll send them an email, basically what we agreed upon. And that's solved. So, heading off, taking my son to a car show. He's into classic cars. Cheers. Okay. Good luck with that. Excellent. Our car show's the first Sunday of every month here in town. Car meet is probably more accurate. And just like wargamers, half the people there are cool. The other half are just dicks. So you hang out with and by cool I mean people that are relaxed and amicable. Lots of that thing in Arizona. Lots of car shows in Arizona. I imagine that. Weather's good for it. Yeah, I enjoy going to the car meet. But, some people like, look what I got, look what I got, look what I'm not one of those people. I'm not a very jealous person. Somebody has something nice. That's nice. That's cool. Be happy for them. Oh man, we got strappings galore on this dude. I gotta make sure somebody's awake because it's kind of late and I haven't heard them stirring. Well, it's gonna be super hot today in mid-90s all weekend. It's been that hot here. Hopefully we get some rain, man. Hopefully we get some rain. This will be a short one. Be right back. Well, they're still sleeping, so I'm gonna give them another 20 minutes. And I'm gonna sign off in about 20 minutes. Calling for thunderstorms, so rain definitely coming here. Yeah, it's also it's almost transom light 30. I like natural light, but it actually creates a lot of interference when it shines down here at the same time that I've got the aught light on. Okay, strap these on the horse. It's got to be a light color so it stands out. Let's just do good old buff. Good old buff. That's dark sand. It's cousin. I think it's this one right here. '90s with humidity. You can't talk about humidity. Sorry. We're here in the swamp. I actually like humidity. We just have no breeze. Hardly ever. So it gets pretty hot in Pennsylvania. I don't know if I could handle living out west. I like the dryness, but man, this just drinking water just so you don't get a massive headache. That was a surprise to me. I was not expecting that. Not a fan. Not a fan of that portion of it. I don't mind the really a different world out there. Texas Jim, when he comes here, says, "Man, everything's so green here." I said, "I know. We're like freaking like Ewoks." Florida is like the freaking Ewoks. Speaking of malls, I don't think malls are going to make it much longer. Not that I'm a trendsetter or anything, but I never go to one. It's just really inconvenient. I don't necessarily mind shopping, but when I do, I don't even think of the mall. I don't even think about going to the mall. I just don't. It's really inconvenient as far as park here and then walk all the way through a maze to get to the one store you want to, just to find out that they don't have anything. And that the person that's working there doesn't want to help you. It's like, I'll go somewhere it's a little bit easier on the in and out. But when I have gone, I've noticed that it's just very different than it used to be. You know, it's a catch-22. People don't go to the malls often, so they don't have the merchandise. They don't have the merchandise, so people don't go to the malls often. You know, it just, as a friend of mine used to say, it's a self-licking popsicle. We're in a drought, yeah. No, that is my area. I'm surrounded by mountains and forests. Okay. No mountains here. Be surprised that game store stays are long. It's a horrible location. They've done a lot to alienate their customer base. Surrounded by forests as well, but you call it cactus forest. They refused to reopen to let people play there, even after everything opened up, and now they're in a location a lot of people won't go to. Was it like crime-ridden, or just way out of the way, or? The problem with game stores is, you know, they don't get a lot of business, so they got to keep their costs down. So in order to keep the costs down, they're in unsavory places, and I'm not a fan of going to unsavory places. Like, there's always a lot of problems there, so let me not go over there, you know. I'm a big fan of avoiding problems when I'm not getting paid for them. Like, there's something I don't like. Cool, I'll go this way. You know, when you're at work, you got to confront things, unfortunately, sometimes. But when it's on my own time, nah, I'll go a different way. The local comic / game store, one of them that we have in town, relocated to a place that's massive. And it's actually a really nice building. They just don't have anything that I find interesting. I mean, they have some Tufts. They've got some Citadel paints, but they're all behind the counter, so I gotta like ask to look at them. It's a pain in the ass. They're not necessarily rude or anything. I get it. You gotta have it back there so that you avoid shrink. And they have a lot of games, a lot of board games. I don't do board games. You know, I don't need them, you know. The traffic getting up there is bad and just not worth it. Plus, it's in the mall itself, so you have to always have eyes on your stuff or it's going to be stolen. Ugh. And there's a time constraint. In fact, when the mall closes, they kick you out no matter if you're in the middle of a game. Yeah, that sucks. That sucks. Even at our convention in Orlando, your game can't go past midnight. And I'm not an all-night gamer, but sometimes you need an extra hour, right? You just do. Nobody wants to leave in the middle of it, and you can't leave it set up. So you want to come up to a conclusion, and they got to close everything up because the vendors are in the same area there's nobody to watch their stuff. I get it, but it's kind of annoying, you know. Rather game at home. I don't know if I'd want a game at a mall though, because then that's kind of conducive to parents dropping their kids off, and the next thing you know, you're babysitting other people's kids, which is okay as long as as long as they were raised right and they behaved correctly, but that's not always the case. I remember somebody volunteered me, probably 2009, to run how you can, it was before Mitch, I can tell you that much, run a how to play DBA. So I did. One person showed up, they dropped their kid off and left. And I'm like, well, I won't do that again, because it's not like we get compensated for that. Our convention here in Florida never compensates the people that run games. I'm not saying that they should, but I'm just saying that I didn't sign up to babysit somebody else's kid. If I'm going to babysit a kid, then I'm going to raise them, and they're not going to be a pain in the ass like that kid was. Like, I'm not going to babysit somebody else's kid that's already turned into a pain in the ass. I like to say my wife is the one with a teaching degree. She's the one that likes kids. I don't like kids. I don't like other people's kids that were raised in a sloppy fashion. 24-hour gaming at Archon. That's cool. In today's world, I just don't want to babysit other people's kids. Absolutely. Not going to happen if I'm there to play games. Yep. Yeah. Show up and play with your kid. No problem then. I don't want to game with people who don't want to be there, regardless of how old they are. And the kid was dropped off. The kid didn't want to play. And I felt like I was doing a presentation for work with an audience that didn't want to be there. So, hey, it only takes me one time. So now Mitch is the person he's the person that's in charge of doing the learn how to play games now at shows. He gets a few people to come to his show to play. He can do that. I'll do the videos. You can do that at the conventions. I don't mind talking to people and getting them to play better, but they have to show an interest first, because a lot of times, you'll have these people, they'll show up and they'll never show up again. So, and like I said, I value my time. I don't mind putting in the effort to show somebody how to play better, but they gotta want to be there. That's what I don't like about convention games. It's like you spend an hour and a half teaching people how to play the game, which will never show up again to play another one. So why am I doing this? Oh, because I'm a sadist. Got it. That's not my idea of a good time. Paint was clumping up on here. On the end. And like online gaming, I don't even talk to anybody, because there's too many of those kids that weren't raised right with, 4 foot tall with a 6 foot mouth kind of thing, I don't want to listen to that nonsense. I know other people that enjoy, egging them on or having arguments with them, but I don't need that in my life. Not worth the effort. So we got the mane to do on here. The shield. This little part of the saddle that's underneath there. And the quiver. That's about it. I mean, small things like the socks and stuff, but Yeah, there's a lot of detail on these horses, so they're going to take some time to do. But we're going to go ahead and call this a wrap. Been on here, how long have we been on here? 2.5 hours? Yeah. We have a con next weekend, our comic book convention. Oh boy. Never been to one of those. I've seen pictures. That's enough for me not want to go. I'm good. Cosplayers. Okay. Well, there you have it. This is as far as we got with him. So, tomorrow. How complicated is the next one? About the same. Well, I'll be lucky to get them both done this weekend, but that's okay. It's not a race. So, okay. Well, until next time, thanks for stopping by. Nordic, Kevin, Joe, have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Be well.